Welcome back to Biomes. This time we are talking about the Arctic Ocean. The Arctic Ocean is located right smack at the top of the world, all around Canada, Russia, Greenland, and some places in Europe. It is like just right there, right at the top. It is a very cold place with the surface temperature of the water. As you may have guessed, it's a very, very cold place with the surface temperature of the water averaging out around negative 1.8 degrees Celsius, which is pretty close to the freezing point of seawater, which has a lower freezing point than fresh water. It's very cold, has a lot of icebergs and all that, but it does have quite a lot of stuff going on in it. There's quite a lot of life happening in the Arctic Ocean. And for brevity's sake, so this video isn't a million years long, I'm only talking about the stuff that live inside the Arctic Ocean. So nothing like the polar bears or the birds or anything like that. We're talking about the stuff inside of it. So unsurprisingly, the Arctic Ocean is pretty unfriendly to things that rely on photosynthesis because for around half the year there's not a lot of light available to do photosynthesis. However, there are a few species of kelp and other seaweed and stuff that have evolved to be adapted to being in the dark for half a year. So there are some pretty substantial kelp forests that do grow in the Arctic Ocean, even like under a bunch of ice, which is very cool. There's quite a lot of microorganisms too, and small invertebrates such as the krill here. There's also copepods and plankton that act as the very base level of the food chain to act as food for larger animals. There's also some pretty substantial coral reefs. Again, much like kelp and seaweed, coral is thought of as preferring warmer areas, but there are quite a few species of cold water coral that make some pretty nice reefs up in the Arctic Ocean. And these reefs, much like they do in every ecosystem they're a part of, they provide home and like a lot of very important functions for the animals that live there. There are also anemones that are related to coral, such as this North Pole sea anemone, which has just been declared the northernmost type of sea anemone, so that's pretty cool for them. There's also jellyfish, like this lion's mane jellyfish, which is the largest species of jellyfish ever. They're very big, they live in quite a lot of places, including the Arctic. Other marine invertebrates include things like barnacles, which are actually animals, even though a lot of people don't think that they are even living things. They are animals. There's also a variety of crustaceans, including the king crab, one of the largest species of crabs in the world. We also have another personal favorite of mine, the sea spiders, also known as the pycnogonids, which do live in other places. They are found throughout pretty much every sea and ocean. However, about 20% of all pycnogonid species are found in the Arctic Ocean, which is pretty neat. There's also quite a few mollusk and cephalopod species, including 3 species of octopus, this one being the big-finned jellyhead octopus, which sure is a name. There's also some squid species up here as well, or up there, not here, I'm not in the Arctic. As you may have guessed, there's also quite a ton of fish species, including cod and herring, with the Arctic cod being the most abundant fish there. A large portion of the fish are commercial food fish again, such as the herring and cod, but there are some more interesting ones as well. There's some more deep sea fish, such as this one, the gelatinous snailfish, which I mean, yeah, it sure is. We also have another favorite of the channel, the lamprey, specifically this one being the Arctic lamprey. I'm not sure if they're a separate species from other lamprey or if it's just a subspecies, but I'm pretty sure these ones tend to be a bit smaller. There are also sharks up in the Arctic Ocean, the probably most well-known one being the Greenland shark, but there's other sharks such as the salmon shark that stay up there as well. The Greenland shark is known for being a food item in countries that are around the Arctic Ocean. However, it is incredibly toxic due to special compounds being in it to help it survive up there, so it's a whole process in order to be able to prepare these to eat so they're not actually poisonous. A couple dolphin species live up there occasionally, not year-round, usually for most of them, such as the white-beaked dolphin. I'm pretty sure no dolphin species actually lives up in the Arctic Ocean for the full year, but at some parts of the year you can find dolphin species up there. However, there are not a lot, but one of the whale species, one of the only whale species that does live up in the Arctic Ocean full-time is the bowhead whale, which is a pretty large one, pretty interesting looking. It's one of the few whale species that does live up in the Arctic Ocean year-round, with another being the iconic narwhal. Narwhals do live there pretty much full-time. They sometimes come down into more southern areas, but most of the time narwhals are living up in the Arctic Ocean. You can also find other whale species such as belugas up there, but narwhal's just the iconic Arctic Ocean animal. So despite it looking very, very hostile, being very cold, not being a super great place to live, there is quite a lot of life and biodiversity in the Arctic Ocean, and lots of them are just super interesting.